So many of these people that had brutal pasts also had really difficult health challenges. They had endometriosis, they had depression, they had night terrors, suicidal tendencies, blackouts, vertigo, ovarian cysts, all kinds of crazy things. And they did the work because nothing else was working. And many of them came to the point where they did their meditation every single day. Every day, they never missed a day because nothing else was working. They believed that this could work. They just didn't believe it could work for them.
Right.
So they were doing their meditations to actually believe, right? They had to change their emotional state, and they reached a point, and typically when they come to the week longs, because I stretch people a little further,
Oh.
they were already feeling a little better. They were already doing better, but they reached a point where they just thought, oh my God, this is the worst feeling I've ever had in my life. I don't think I'd go any further. And then they think, oh my God, I've never missed a day in my meditations. I can't give up on me now. And they go one more time. And the words that we hear over and over again is always the same. It was like my heart blew wide open. It was like my heart exploded. It was like my heart opened up all the way. I felt something move through my heart, and I felt more love than I felt my entire life. And they look back at their entire past, and they don't want to change one thing in their past because the feeling that they have, they realize that they had to go through all of that to get to the present moment, and that's the moment the past no longer exists. And they look at their betrayers, they look at their molesters, they look at the tyrants, and they have nothing but compassion and love for them. And the relationship changes with those people, and the moment their heart blows open, the body literally comes out of the past, because when energy makes it to the heart, it resets the baseline in the brain and the autonomic nervous system for trauma. It says it's over, and the body literally moves out of the past. And the side effect of that, there goes the depression, there goes the endometriosis, here goes the night terrors, and the person they don't want to change anything in their past. They'll tell you, no. This all had to happen for me to change. So many people with diseases will say, I just didn't know it. I would have never changed. I would have never changed unless I had this health condition. I would have never changed. This was the push for me to change. And they would say, I was too sick to do their meditation in the beginning, but you know what? There were days they felt really bad, and they could have said, I don't feel like doing my meditation today, but guess what? They did it anyway. And they overcame their body a little bit more that day. And there were days they had a lot of self-doubt because their condition was getting worse and their family was worried about them, and they could have said, this is too much, I have too much doubt, I can't do this. Guess what? They did it anyway, and they overcame their doubt a little bit more.
Yeah.
And there were days where they had a lot of fear because they were given the voodoo curse that they had 6 months to live or a year to live. And they could have said, I have too much fear today, I can't do my meditation, but they did it anyway. Instead of surrendering to fear, they surrendered to love. And it was the overcoming process. That was the becoming process. That is the unlearning process. And if 95% is how we're hardwired in terms of attitudes, beliefs, and perceptions, how we're habituated in terms of behaviors and actions, and how we're conditioned to our emotional responses, then there's going to take a lot of work in the overcoming process, because you got to get so conscious that you don't go unconscious again. And it's a process of going unconscious to the point where you no longer go unconscious and you stay conscious. You ask that person, where's the disease now? Where is it now? They'll tell you it's in the old person. It's the old guy. It's that person. It's that old person. It's not me. I'm not that victim anymore. I'm not that person any longer. And again, they were doing their meditations to change. They were doing their meditations 3 times a day, not because they wanted their meditations to heal them. They just defaulted back to the old self and they started disbelieving again. So they were doing their meditations every day to believe. And they would not get up until they felt the feeling of that future, because they knew consciously, if I could feel this emotion, I'm signaling genes ahead of the environment. And I'm going to keep feeling this feeling with the intention of signaling the gene. And that was their intention. Of course, they started producing a greater outcome. So they were doing their meditations to strengthen their belief 3 times a day because they lost their belief. Now, you can't say to me, you're too out of shape, or you're too in shape, or you're too unhealthy, you're too old, or you're too young. You saw we have people that are 12 years old or 10 years old that come to our
teens
events.
Sitting around.
We have hundreds of kids that come on the age of 25, a huge youth community. We have people that are in their 90s and their 80s. They have elegant brain scans. They have beautiful heart coherence. You can't tell me you're too old to do it. You can't tell me you're too young. You can't tell me you're too sick. You can't tell me you had a brutal past, or you're out of shape. You can't say any of those things any longer. I mean, no one's so special to be excluded from this process. And again, I think one of the things, I'm jesting part of the time here, but one of the things that people need is knowledge and information. I mean, the data that we have in our scientific research it tells us that we're greater than we think, more powerful than we know, more unlimited than we could ever dream. The testimonials of people standing on the stage, you've seen them, with stage 4 cancers that spread to their bones, to their liver, to their lungs, to their pelvic organs. They couldn't walk, they were in so much pain, no drug trial, no chemo, no radiation, no surgery was changing, no diet was changing them. And now they're up there with no evidence of cancer. You hear that story, it's the 4-minute mile.
Yeah.
Evidence is the loudest voice.
Yes.
And when you see a person that doesn't look vegan, doesn't look young, doesn't look buffed, that had people steal money from them, that they lost everything, they slit their wrists, they have horrible but bankrupt. They're worth millions now and they're living a happy life and they've got a great relationship and their health condition's all better. You gotta scratch your head and you gotta look and you gotta say, wow, if that person can do it, I think I can do it.
Right.
And then there's number 2, and then there's number 3, and then there's number 4.
And there's thousands and thousands.
Now we had 7 people step out of wheelchairs in our last event in Denver. I couldn't believe it. With spinal cord injuries, with brain tumors, with head trauma, with myasthenia gravis, with MS, with ALS. I mean, it's crazy. It just takes one, and then collective consciousness. Now it's possible, right?
It's fascinating. When I was at your event and we did the coherence healings towards the end, obviously once we practiced more of the meditations and understood the science and understood the research, and you really dive in on it and did the 3 a.m., 5-6 hour meditations and all these different things we did. It's a beautiful thing to witness, serving others who need healing with your consciousness collectively. It's an incredible thing to witness and to feel the energy.
No,
it's not a false fake energy. You're feeling like you're healing yourself as you're intending consciously to heal someone else.
Yeah, that happens. We just had somebody just on the stage that had trigeminal neuralgia, severe facial pain.
Oh wow.
She got on stage and she said, I wanted someone to cut my head off.
Oh man.
She said that's how bad the pain was. I could never get away from it. She said during that coherence healing, my heart blew wide open. I felt so much love. She said, I have no pain in my face. I've done every therapy, I've done every drug, I've taken everything, every narcotic, everything. It's never changed. I have no pain. Like that instantaneous change in her health.
This is crazy.
So when you see, I know this is insane. We've had more than one person that had vision problems all of a sudden start to see. We've had more than one person with hearing problems start to hear. It just happened recently. It's not uncommon for people. We had a guy that lost his speech. He couldn't talk. He's talking now. He's a happy guy. I've seen people with Parkinson's disease, with bilateral breast cancer. I've seen spinal cord injuries. I've seen all kinds of different health conditions. In one or 2 or 3 coherence healings have a complete change. And it's a really cool thing because people are never being touched. They're just listen, changing information in the field. And it's not matter that's creating the field, it's the field that's creating matter. So if you change the information in the field, could you change the hologram in 3-dimensional reality? And that's exactly what we teach.
Oh my gosh.
And that's exactly what we start to see. The tumor is the illusion, it's the hologram, it's the information in the field. If you change the information in the field, can you change the destiny of matter? And when people start to understand it and they can piece it together, and they've been practicing all week, overcoming themselves, you have to do that.
Yeah.
If they practice all week opening their heart, They practice all week, brain and heart coherence. Now it's time to put it all together. But now this time, it's not about you.